Good evening, Monadnock Region, and welcome to another episode of the Monadnock Region's only locally focused weekly comedy podcast. I'm here in the Space Lounge as your host, Christopher DiLoretto, and I am joined by my one and only co-host,
Zoe Rotenheim-Smith.
And this week, stand-in for Sam, JK, he's irreplaceable. We have from Fair Paradise, and people think I'm kidding, but I'm not. If you think I'm kidding, you don't know my love for the Garden State. From Fair Paradise of New Jersey, we've got a guest host for the entire episode this week,
John Palmucci.
John Palmucci. Now, some of you may recognize that name. We reference John fairly frequently. He's almost like a character on the show. Despite having never appeared. When we started Monadnock Underground, he would write for us, and we would simply call his pieces basically a column of his New Jersey. So John would write, and it was New Jersey. We essentially consider him the emissary of New Jersey to the Monadnock region. Honorary ambassador, as it were. Representative to our shadow Congress. And John has been deprived for a while now because it's a very sad story, very 2022 story. I think it happened this year, right? But he was the host of this, what I thought was actually a very entertaining and very good, kind of just, it's similar to ours, just not locally focused, but it's a cultural commentary podcast. And unfortunately, his co-host got very canceled, and it killed the show. And so John has been off the air, tragically, for no fault of his own. Even frankly, his co-host is also like mostly innocent, but John had no part in it, and he still lost the show. And we miss you on the air, man.
I have been censored by the
cancel culture.
Cancel culture. Yep.
It's here. Yeah. So how you been? Like, I see you've got you've got like Napoleon and the horse behind you.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm unfortunately I don't have a cool officey kind of area
cool
with the
enough.
background. I have my marital bed and the Tony Soprano as like Napoleon portrait behind me. That's the best I could do.
Yep. No, that's good enough, actually. And it's very fitting, in fact, because that was like one of Sam's parting moves. Was he moved to a different room with just one painting behind his head. So I'm glad that our first guest host also has one painting behind his head. His painting is not Tony Soprano with a horse, though.
Nor was his one room his marital bed with
that's true.
Tony Soprano and the horse above it, which Sam, I feel was glossed over. But that's
Sam has two
amazing.
offices, believe it or not, in his estate, and the painting room is his second office, which now he doesn't podcast from because he doesn't podcast anymore. Poor Sam.
Wait to have an office of my own.
Poor Sam. Yeah,
it was either this or the crib. It was the Johnny's bedroom.
Yep. Yeah, John is kind enough to join us from a New Jersey apartment with two very young, shall we call them Irish twins, who could make noise.
They're Irish enough and twins enough, 13 months apart. So yeah.
Yeah, pretty close.
It's close enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
Too
so
close.
You sometimes listen to this program though, right? Even though you're in New Jersey?
Yes. Whenever I can remember to, I do, yes.
You keep up on the happenings of
I'll admit it's probably been a few weeks since I've listened to you guys, but generally I would listen every week. But I've been on a big professional wrestling podcast kick, and like we're like the old time guys from like when we were kids. Like now they'll bring them on now that they're like 60 something and have them like reminisce about the past, and I'm like I don't know. I don't even watch wrestling now, but that's just been my thing. Like, I do that. I'll hyper focus onto these like subgenres of podcasts and be hyper interested in them for a few months.
But so you're only listening to the podcast though, and not watching any of the wrestling.
Yeah, they're not even talking about like what's going on currently.
It's the glory days.
Yeah, it's like Kevin Nash talking about something that happened in 1997, like that I don't even really care about.
Yeah. Well, that's almost
makes sense.
Yeah, it's like a 30 for 30.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, right, exactly.
It's a sports documentary.
Yeah, I mean, eventually I'll get over that and just resume my normal podcast listening routine. But
that's okay. We don't like begrudge you or anything. We here in Peterborough don't necessarily expect you to know what's going on.
I mean, I always listen whenever you explicitly like tell me, "Oh, hey, we referenced you in this episode."
I like to employ vanity in that way, you know.
And I won't just listen for the part where I get referenced. I'm listening to the whole thing.
High speed scrubbing like through it. Like, is it John? John? Is he saying John?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there has only been. I mean, most of what's happened in Peterborough has been internal drama here. With me censoring myself. I cancel cultured myself on an episode, rightfully so, I guess. Not like I said last episode or the one before, I still stand by everything I said, but I just won't say it publicly because it's rude and it's mean. It could get me sued. It could be construed as threatening. I don't know. I don't want to commit any crimes on the air and get canceled like poor Madison. So there, but even that, right, was, it all stemmed out of like, I mean, they're not letting the kids in the high school go to the bathroom. And that's the issue. They're not allowed to go to the bathroom. And, it's wrong. And
kids aren't allowed to go to the bathroom?
Yeah, because it's this weird story where depending upon who you talk to, they can't go to the bathroom because either or it's all and or, I don't know. People vape. People are disrespectful in the halls. It's chaotic and it disrupts the learning. No shit. And so they can't handle
literally no shit. Like,
yeah, right. Yes. No one is permitted to shit. Yeah. So they have to log into a computer system, right? And they have 3 like passes to leave the room per day. So that's like for water, like get a drink, and go to the bathroom. And then besides that, they have the time in between classes and lunch, and that's it. And, I feel that that's a mismanagement issue, not an issue with the kids probably, because I just truly, especially up here, I don't care what Sam says about the gangs. I just don't believe that like the kids in this high school here in Peterborough are any tougher than the kids that were like in my high school or any more disrespectful or likely to smoke and fight and things like, I just don't believe that. And they still let us go to the bathroom. We had butts in the urinals all the time, right?
Yeah, that was back when like kids actually really smoked, not this stuff. Like
not this stuff. Yep. So some people think that
back
this
when
is
kids were cooler.
Yeah, they were a little cooler. I mean, let's be honest. And actually, so I guess one other fact you might have missed along those lines, though, was that a friend of ours was in local, small time court for a traffic thing, right? And he said, it's Jesse Milligan, you know who he is. And he said that there were like 7 other people there who were there for underage tobacco violations, like in court appearance for this. And he said that they all ended up getting hit with fines bigger than his.
Like these were like kids,
or like I
or
think
these were people that got in trouble for selling tobacco to kids.
No, they were kids. Well, so they were under 21. So I think a lot of them weren't even technically kids. They were adults by law who are not allowed to have cigarettes and had them.
Okay, but
it's a crime.
I just feel like, okay, well, it's 21. You're under 21. You managed to get the tobacco. Then it's yours. It's fine. You got it. That's not.
Imagine making somebody.
That's not on you.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So, yeah. So that's really. It's been very dull, and we were like, in planning for this episode, we were like, let's bring a couple of Peterborough topics to the table so we can get a little New Jersey commentary on it, right? And there's basically nothing, We've basically got editorials about bumblebees and voter registration.
Voter registration. I wish I could unregister.
Yeah, right.
Then they'd bother me even more,
Yes, because then
you're registered to vote, and you get bothered about registering to vote.
Everybody will bother you if you don't register. Yeah,
that's interesting. Like, can you unregister? I've never thought about that before.
No, I think once you're in, you're in.
You might be in for life. Yeah.
Wow.
It's terrible.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe you could go down to the town clerk and demand that they remove you from the rolls.
Right.
But your public record of registration and how many times you voted will still be out there. Because people know that stuff. I don't know if you know that. That's public information, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
How many times people can score you on your attendance and stuff. I've never done it to somebody, but we could do it. We could pull that out.
Is it easy to get?
Yeah, I think it's relatively easy to get. I'd have to. I don't know off the top of my head how to get it, but it. There's databases, and you might have to pay to access them, but I don't know. You can definitely get the full voter roll and what party everyone is registered with now, anytime. And I think it will tell you when they voted last. But the full information, you might actually need to tap into somebody's database, to do it, but it's doable. It'd be fun to bust out in a Peterborough parlay sometime and be like, and you have never voted.
Oh yeah, that's
right.
How can you purport to represent us? I don't know if that applies to anybody, but
someone looked me up once.
Show up there. I don't know. Feel like they vote.
Yeah, someone actually did that to me once. Now that I'm remembering, they're like, you're registered as a Democrat.
Oh yeah, to try to throw it in your face in the socialism argument.
Because back in 2016, the only time I've ever done that was I was like, yeah, I'll I was into Bernie 6 years ago, and I registered.
It's okay. I voted for another Democrat this year.
Yeah,
it happens sometimes.
Right. I was like, yeah, okay. I was into Bernie. I was registered as a Democrat. Okay, right. for one election.
Yep. I did that too. I did that in 2016 and 2020.
You were registered as a Democrat for at least 5 minutes the other day.
I was. Well, yeah, because as a registered independent to vote in a Democratic primary in New Hampshire, it's like a temporary declaration. It's like, yes, I am a Democrat for the time that I'm here. And you get the ballot and you fill it out. And then you got to go back to the table. Did I remember to go back to the table? Oh my God, I might still be a Democrat.
I think you did. I don't know.
Complicit now.
I did. I remembered.
Oh, shit. Whew. I'm going to have to call Linda. See what
the information is probably in this helpful editorial. I could read it to you.
It might be. Oh man. Geez. I don't remember talking to anybody afterwards. So yeah. So I've always been pretty bad at I gave up on the Democratic Party in 2012, right? And I've still voted for Democrats a bunch of times since. It's just it's an addiction. It's a bad habit. It's like smoking.
Well, the main reason to unregister is so that they don't call you.
Yeah. I get calls for all kinds of shit anyways, though.
Oh.
And now I don't know. Eventually they're going to be calling Go Monadnock and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to get calls from them in other ways anyways. They find you.
Like, for all the
plus if you unregister, they're just going to want to re-register you. You can't win.
Be among the persuadable non-voters who could be turned out in this election.
I would have to go off the grid, like Jesse Ventura. Living off the grid. I'm busting out impressions and I'm not even drinking tonight.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, let me tell you, everyone, there was a time, it was just moments before the Iron Curtain of COVID fell.
Literally moments.
When in Cooper's public house, this man was doing the finest Bernie Sanders impressions you have ever seen in your life.
Yeah, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't pull it out of my ass right now.
Right here in Peterborough. It was a nice time. It was the before times. The last of the before times we spent together.
Basically, yeah.
I do hold out hope that we can someday bring those conditions about once more.
Oh, I'm sure we can. We have a deal that we made that actually might not happen this year for like a variety of reasons, but once things are a little bit more settled over here and John's kids are not completely babies, like once a year he's coming up here and once a year I'm going down there. Like that's the idea.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, once they're not mewling and puking and all that.
It's tough right now. I get it. It's tough. It's tough right now. Yeah, I totally understand. Just try not to have a third. But good luck. Actually, it's kind of weird. There was one night recently that we were all hanging out. It was a big group of us, and like in separate conversations throughout the night, like 3 or 4 different people made remarks, like in our like close friend group about like, and these are all people in most cases. In fact, like the only people who we're not talking about were the people who just had babies. They're like, we're done. This is people who haven't had kids in like 5, 6, 7 years, and they're like, wonder if we should have another, it was this like wave that went through the little party at my house where people were like, I think I might want another kid. I think it passed, hopefully, like quickly, but because most people seem to follow it up with, why did I think that? Like that was a weird thing to say,
So I don't think of John Palmucci passed over.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, it came over the house. It was like we could make a new Jewish holiday about it. It was Yom Kippur this week.
Instead of taking their firstborn, I give them mine.
You give them more. You give them an accident. That's what happens. The angel of John Palmucci comes by everyone's homes if they don't mark the door and gives them an extra unwanted child. Oh, we're always creating new festivals up here. It's wonderful. In fact, the only thing that we really could even bear to talk about this week in this region is a weird religious thing, actually.
Oh,
it's apparently a very important curtain
at the what is this church in Wilton? What is it called? The
Second Congregational or something?
Second Congregational Church.
I thought that's
it's the one where like all kinds of stuff happens. I thought I had my. Oh yeah.
Oh, is it near the Cursed Cemetery?
You know what in Wilton is not near the Cursed Cemetery?
Yeah. So there is this town. It's on the other side of the ridge of mountains from us. But it is in our region, and it is one of the towns that. So just for reference, that would probably get conquered by Peterborough, or is at least on the table for annexation, right? But there's a curse there, dude. There's like this one cemetery where all kinds of things get seen, and the town itself has just had all kinds of weird problems. Their meeting house in like colonial days, like they had to try to build it 3 times because like people kept like once they all like the roof collapsed and they all died, and like once it just burnt to the ground, and like another time, something else happened. I don't know. Then they moved it to another spot. Weird shit happens.
Weird.
Like
Yeah.
something
and that one, like,
doesn't want the white man there.
Maybe they should take the hint.
When does that happen,
I think that
John?
ship has sailed, but
yeah, I know. They're not giving that land back, I don't think.
They did get their meeting house. Although we talked about this on the show, like somebody referenced a barn raising and other people were like, "Oh God, no, because that will happen again like it did in Wilton 200 years ago." Like
they did. Yeah, like they said it like it was a fresh memory, too. They're like, "We do not do this. Don't you remember Wilton?" Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember the whole ghost story, but when I think about it, it gives me goosebumps. Like if you Google it, like the Wilton like, cemetery ghost, it's like the creepiest thing I've ever read.
It's pretty weird because like the way the story goes is that there's this like girl in, I think, a dress, like blue or something like that.
Blue lady, yeah.
Yeah, the blue lady. And people commonly see her, right? And that's like the most common folklore. But then like when you read more, you always hear that they're like, yeah. But like, she's not like the main thing. Like she's not in charge over there. She's just something that people see. There's like this like malevolent force that's there that they say that's like, a demon or something like that. And it can follow you home. Supposedly someone died. I mean, I don't, who knows what to believe. I'm not telling anybody what to believe. I'm not saying that I buy all of this wholesale, but I agree with Zoe. It does give me goosebumps to think about. I think something's going on in that town, and it has, what did it do? Tear the curtain?
No, the curtain is not safe. It does not meet the fire safety code because it was not treated with flame retardant. So it is unsafe to use, and they took it down. And so now there's no curtain on the stage at the Wilton Second Congregational Church. Some fresh New Hampshire news for you.
Why does a church need like a curtain on a stage though? Like, do they like break things up into acts and change the set? And
they do have shows and stuff there.
Oh,
no,
they do?
I don't think it's like in there. I don't think it's like, what do you call it?
Like the holy
main part of the church. What?
Well, it makes me think of the Jewish temple again, because they had a curtain that would cordon off like the Holy of Holies, where only the priest can go, like one day a year.
Okay, so
when
maybe
Jesus
it's like
died,
that.
The curtain was torn in two, and so something like that is going on in Wilton right now.
Yes. Yes. It does say that the performances that they have there are going to happen with or without a curtain. So the resilient folks of Wilton are going to make do.
You think these journalists ever like sit around and talk to each other and say, "What are we doing?" Like this is
yeah.
This is my big story.
You know what? I've talked to former ones. And yes, I do think that conversation happens. That is the impression that I have. It is interesting the approach that they take over there, though, because one of the recurring themes on this program is our insistence, basically, that there are. We don't try to pick on the paper. And because sometimes I feel like, man, I have been so mean to the newspaper, and I've just been saying, but the thing is that they just don't try. And it's not my fault. It's not like I am reminded again and again and again that I'm not the one being mean just by saying what they're doing, and like how easy it would be to do something better, especially when you have like money and a staff.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sure
that's
if they
that I can't get
tried,
over.
There's got to be like interesting stories if they did journalism.
Are you telling me that it is not interesting to you that someone brought a greenhouse from one piece of land to another?
No, that should not be front page above the fold.
My favorite part of that story, though,
That's why the newspaper as a medium is dying.
So interesting, though, to that point, right? Up the hill from we referenced this in the last episode, right? But this is so up the hill from me is a place called Four Winds Farm, right? And it's this. I just learned this. Like the whole thing is like conservation land, actually, which means that like we can walk on it. Like it's like the English countryside. Like the public is free to roam on it, but it is private land, and it's the whole time I've been here, and for the last 5 years or so, it's been a working farm. There's been like a whole herd of cattle up there, a bunch of cows. There's been sheep up on the hill. Dairy cows with horns. Did you know that female cows sometimes have horns? Because I just learned that like 2 days ago. Brand new fact. Didn't know. I thought that it was a whole field full of bulls staring at me, but that is not true. But beautiful, right? And it's really old land. And the place where the cows graze is this like 100-year-old orchard. So there's these like super old ass apple trees and all this stuff. And it's changing. So the people who leased it, they signed a 40-year lease like 5 years ago, but something changed in the last 5 years. No one knows because the newspaper didn't report on it. And they're leaving. They're moving to Puerto Rico. They weren't the owners of the land. So like the land, I don't think the land can change ownership now that it's in like all this conservation, right? But nobody's coming in with the new farm, right? And it's a prominent place. Like there was like Zoe shared with me in the wake of it. That's how I know what I do know about it. This article that went into the history of the place and like the care and architecture that went into restoring it and all this stuff. And so this big thing is happening where it's basically being decommissioned as a farm, and like no one seems to know what's going to happen with it. And there's they talk about somebody moving this greenhouse, but nobody went up there and asked Farmer Ruth, like, hey, where are you going? What are you doing? What's going to happen?
Right.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
Why not? At least add some color to the story.
I wish we had the time and the money to do it, to do that, you know? And unfortunately, we just don't. But if someone with a staff should send somebody up there and be like, you know, what's up? I don't know. It's a big deal. Whatever. In any case, in New Jersey news, none other than President Uncle Joe Biden.
Yeah,
passed by our friend Pat in fair Red Bank, New Jersey today.
Yeah. Luckily, I'm located far enough away. I did not have to deal with any of the traffic or.
Yeah, Pat got stopped as the motorcade went by.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, he went down there to legalize pot. What the fuck? I wasn't expecting that today. New York Times breaking news alert comes on my phone. Now, granted, I know, guys, it's not officially legal, but he pardoned like thousands of federal offenders and essentially told which agency is it? Is it the DEA that schedules it, or is it the FDA? I don't know. Whoever schedules the drug, the DEA, I guess, to reschedule it, and. Which is an inevitable. This is the thing, guys. Now, I'm very happy about this. I think it's a very big deal. It's going to change a lot for the better. And I don't know. I think it's an unqualified good. Now, make no mistake. I think it's a vote getting measure. That's okay though. Actually, I don't have I don't think there's anything wrong with politicians doing good things. Real good things to get votes. In fact, I think that's how it's supposed to work, right? You know, like you really want people to vote for you, so you do something that people really want. Very good.
I agree. I just say do the whole good thing instead of like I don't know, 40% of the good thing. Like
I think he has to tell them to review the scheduling. I think that's like the process. And pardoning all the people at the same time is also a big deal because, I mean, that hasn't even happened in states that have legalized it in a lot of cases. I think actually in Massachusetts they have at this point.
And I saw he did tell the governors to.
He encouraged them all. Yeah.
Do that too.
To do the same thing. I think it's very good. Now, this is something that has been inevitable. So it's like, I'm very happy about it, but some president was going to do it. Like either now or very soon from now. And the reason is, since the federal government essentially made the decision that they're not going to send agents in to states with legal pot and like raid them all and shut it down, they're going to let it go. They're going to let it happen. But there's now hundreds of millions of dollars of commerce going on in these states that is almost unbankable because major banks won't violate the federal law. For good reason. They could get shut down and shit, right? So they won't handle the money. You can't, you can't do a credit card transaction at a weed place. If you use your debit card, what you're actually doing is you're doing an ATM withdrawal, through their cash register. And, so it's actually just cash and that goes around. And, the states aren't happy with this. No one's happy with this. It is untenable. And as more and more states legalize, you have this patchwork now and this, totally like gray economy of money, that can't be legally deposited, but was legally obtained, at least in that state, and this is the first step to changing that. You're right. It doesn't change it immediately. But I do think he got the ball rolling and that no one will stop it anymore. So, and he did it in New Jersey. I think that says something about what he probably got to New Jersey and was like, you know what? I am in such a good goddamn mood down here that I'm going to legalize drugs.
Yeah. He probably took a look around. Saw one of our many dispensaries, and I like what they're doing down here. Yep. I don't get to partake, so I'm not speaking from experience. If any of my employer overlords are watching this somehow,
yes, but that's because you work in an industry that is also governed by federal laws, which are hopefully changing.
Yes. Or it'll just get rescheduled to Schedule 2 and put on the same footing as cocaine instead of heroin.
I don't think they're going to do that. I just don't.
You know me. I'm pessimistic and cynical.
Knock it down. I think they're just going to knock it down. It's. I don't know. It's almost.
Hey, if you're saying it, I believe it.
Yeah, I really am.
Because you're always the guy who's like, actually, here's how things really are. This is how they're really going to be.
Yeah, right. If I'm saying that it's good news, and it really is good news, it's probably good news. Really,
you are like I can count on you to like rightfully rain on a parade. So the fact that you're not is. You're like, no, there's not going to be any rain.
I think Joe Biden did a good thing.
Yeah.
I think it's going to lead to more good things. It's like people, I don't know. People sometimes accuse me of having like a certain, I don't know whether they think I have some kind of like partisan bias or something like that, but it's like, no, I mean, I'll call out something good no matter who does it. It makes them mad when I say Donald Trump did something good, which a couple times he did.
Yeah.
And that pisses people off, of course. But here I am, guys. Here I am, Peterborough residents. I'm praising your boy. He did a good thing today.
This is proof you didn't unregister as a Democrat the other day.
I know. Now I'm trapped. They've gotten to me. It's all fucking Jonah's fault.
You're stuck now.
He's a Jonah. You're a sheepdog. You know what that means. It's funny. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great news going on. And I want to give you an opportunity, John, to talk about, a little bit of, pop culture and current events and things like that, since you just don't get the opportunity in any kind of recorded way, I guess, anymore. It's just like what, Mina, maybe a couple other relatives, the kids, like hearing your
Mina's definitely subjected to it.
Oh, actually, guys, everybody should know. I should have said this at the beginning, but if you've ever seen the page Socialist Soprano Memes on Facebook or Twitter, this is the brains behind the Smiling Tony.
Yeah.
So you do get some commentary out there. I mean, this page was mentioned in the New York Times. You're like you're about to earn like a blue check, like at this point.
Oh, I can't wait.
Well, especially if it's no longer an if. And cheers to this, because if any of you remember many episodes ago when this got scuttled, I was kind of bummed, but Elon Musk is buying Twitter. They made him do it, which I love, because that's what I wanted to begin with. He will give you a blue check, or he'll sell you one, or I don't know. He's going to change the whole blue check system. There's changes coming. I might actually go on there. I don't know. I'm very excited about this.
Maybe he can make it so that I can make some money on there. That'd be nice.
Dude, I'm serious. Like, I think because that's the thing is I think he wants to use it as an organ for social, I don't want to say social change, but social discourse, for his social vision, right? But I do think he wants to make a little money off of it, right? So I think some things are going to change. I think there's going to be a little bit of a pay to play. Like, I think, you might see like the $1 to $3 a month for certain features for users. I think if the features are good enough, people will pay it, because people will pay $1 to $3 a month for anything.
Yeah.
I
want my taste.
Yeah, you deserve a taste.
I have a following.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to put up with the crazies on there, and you deserve to be compensated for, as our former comrades would incorrectly say, your emotional labor.
Oh. There's a lot of labor, and it's very emotional.
Exactly. That's the thing. People, it's probably unusual for people to hear this, but all three of us, we never would have known each other if it wasn't for this bizarre little socialist party that we all belonged to.
Yeah.
And
that I still technically belong to.
I was going to say, you still a member?
That I maintain membership so I can win arguments with people who accuse me of being a fascist.
Yeah, guys, if you want
otherwise.
Yeah, if you want your reputation slandered and to be called a fascist and any other number of terrible things, join a small socialist party.
Right. I was just going to say, how many of the people...
I'm pretty sure even if you join a larger one, it's the same shit.
Oh, probably. Yeah, probably. But none of them are particularly...
How many of the people calling you a fascist are also in the Socialist Party?
100%.
Yeah. I forget. I commented on them.
They all are. That's what I mean, is if you want to join and all your friends are going to beat up on you, they'll call you a pedophile. What else will they say? You know what I mean? Like they'll just say, they'll drag your name through the mud with all kinds of libel and slander. And, because they're miserable, broken people.
Yeah, what was it? I commented on someone's Facebook post recently about how like leftists denigrating other leftists, and I was like, okay, I kind of hear what you're saying, but also like some of us do this because of our experiences, and like a lot of what we've dealt with are just totally crazy people, and leftists totally living up to that stereotype of them being like raving lunatics and having to be subjected to it when you just thought like, oh, I'm going to get involved in politics and, my kind of politics that I'm really passionate about. And then you have them you have them kind of like just take that away from you, you know, make you realize none of it's real, none of it's ever going to go anywhere. But because of a lot of things, but also because of them.
Yeah, exactly. Because of the people.
You know, it's not going to go anywhere because you are not Vladimir Lenin just because you try to wear that same hat as him.
Oh my God. That's seriously, that's like by the end of the whole thing, that's what it was. Is I was like, you know what? I would pick capitalism over these people being in charge.
Yeah.
100%, like any day of the week. You know what I mean? And if it comes down to making that choice, I will pick capitalism. You know, like I like, my God, it's that bad, you know?
But retirement is sweet and nobody calls you a fascist. So just consider it.
Me and Madison got called Red Brown a lot.
Oh, yeah. Oh, retiring from socialism.
From socialism, yes.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know. People, I mean, those socialists will definitely call retired people fascists. They don't care what job you have.
Red Brown, we got the whole...
But like, nobody has called me names since leaving.
Trotskyist to neocon. I've heard that.
No, Stephen Graves tried to ask me again if I was in the Free State Project the other day. But that's the closest that ever happens.
Is that still a thing?
Oh yeah, they're still around. Oh, yeah, definitely. There's a lot of them. They're around. They do crazy stuff. Like
still not a free state.
No, but last year they did manage to like get enough. They basically like took down a public school system in a town. Like they won a town. They basically got enough votes of the people in the town to veto the school budget. I think that it was in their town meeting. They didn't just veto the school budget. They amended it to like cut it in half, which is like, you know, too low for it to even run. Right. And that's what the town approved. And by law, that was it. That's the way it is. And so that's now like a big, you know, cautionary tale that people are saying all around the state is that they're coming to your town to do this next. But the reason that in fact, actually, I should just continue the thought. The reason that people are like, are you in the Free State Project is because I respond to these things by saying, and I'm starting to feel like a broken record on this a little bit because I asked it in the Peterborough Parlay to one of our candidates who did not answer the question. I've brought it up a couple times on the show. I am going to keep talking about this though, because I want people to answer this question, which is why are so many people so dissatisfied with the public school system that they're basically willing to try anything else, including tanking the budget, sending their kids to like discipline school, homeschooling in greater and greater numbers, sending their kids to other religious schools. You know what I mean? It's not just the Democrats, but I want the Democrats to be able to tell me and tell everyone why the public school is a net good and why people should support it without just saying, we need it, we must have it, we can't go back to, we can't be a third world country. Those aren't real arguments, right? And, you know, for the record, before anybody says anything, all my kids are in public schools, you know, I don't have a problem with PES. I do have a problem with that high school, but, and I have a problem with certain ways the district is structured. But I think that my son is having a nice experience there. It's fine. I went to public school all the way through, and I think that I actually got a good education, even if I didn't really like it. But I was well educated, and it's fine. Okay. I'm not the one who wants to eliminate the public schools, but I want the people who freak out about these things to be able to articulate their argument about why, because it seems to be in question, and they need to understand that. It just makes me mad for them because, like, yes, I am retired. I don't really do politics anymore, other than in a commentator's chair. But I don't know, like, I want strong public discourse. So I want them to be able to like defend the argument and understand the phenomenon of people distrusting the public schools and wanting an alternative. Why do alternatives seem to be on the rise? And because it's not just like better schools for better colleges. Like it's not that dynamic. It's very much not. It's I want my kid not in public school. Mm-hmm. Why do so many people feel that way? And until they can answer that, I don't think that they can really fully win the battle. You know, they don't even really understand what they're up against. They think they're up against, and this is what Steven said to me, manipulators. It's just the propaganda. I mean, and you're familiar with this line, John, you know what I mean? And it's just the people, no one actually feels this way on their own, of their own thinking, you know, because these people clearly don't have independent thought, right? They're just being manipulated by the evil right-wing libertarians and their bad agenda. And that's the end of the story. And I think that that's insulting and dismissive and wrong. You know, I don't think it's true. I don't think it's accurate. And it's something that they refuse to acknowledge, basically. And I think the problem will only get worse. But yeah, Free Staters are everywhere. They have a big festival every year. You know, actually, I've sent you links because the group in Keene is its own beast. And a lot of the other Free Staters in the state don't like the Keene one. It's almost like a cult of personality around this dude named Ian Freeman. But those were the guys. And you remember Aria DiMezzo? Those are the guys who got arrested for the Bitcoin. The feds raided them, and they had like Bitcoin in their shops, and they're all facing money laundering charges.
Is Ian Freeman his real name?
No, I thought it was for the longest time, and I was like, man, that is so cool. It's like destiny, you know. But no,
it's just too perfect.
Somebody told me. I mean, it is his legal name. He did change his name to Ian Freeman, but it's not. He wasn't born with that name.
Yeah,
don't count.
Ian is real. Freeman is not. Ian's something else. He's an interesting guy. I don't know. You know, I mean, he leads a colorful life, which I tend to respect, even if, you know, he might be a little strange. I don't know. Props to them for trying with the Bitcoin machines, you know? I mean, come on. Well, like, I don't think that, like, they were wrong in what they were thinking and what they were doing, because I think that, like, the reason that they shut that down is not because of money laundering, but it's because the central banks need to kill crypto. And they were always going to kill crypto. Mm-hmm. And they can't control it, for one, but for two, they want a e-currency of their own. And they want to monopolize that technology like they do with everything else. And they were definitely going to go after the people with the machines. But I mean, that they stood up for what they believed in, you know, which is frankly a lot more than we can say of most of the socialists we've known. And
I still don't understand it, though.
Well, basically what, let me see if I can explain it. Like, with Bitcoin, I want to say if the whole transaction takes place between the end user and an online wallet, like a third-party wallet, like somewhere up in space, right? I don't think that is money laundering, okay? Because it's this like straight line, right? But when you put an entity like the store that had the machine in the middle there, something that they were doing, I'm explaining the law poorly, but this is like the diagram of how it would go. If the line goes straight from you to the wallet, it's fine, right? If you put a store owned by libertarians in the middle and they're facilitating the transaction between you and the wallet, then it's a form of money laundering.
I thought money laundering was like you sell drugs for cash and then you funnel them through like a Okay, so I get it. The store is like the lead. The store is like the business that. But
basically, like the business would allow you to turn dirty cash clean in the sense that like you could make the cash appear to be coming from just like Bitcoin or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's my Bitcoin. It's like going to the casino, right? You know what I mean? And like saying you got all your illicit money from the casino. It's untraceable. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I forget how exactly you structure it in order to do it this way, but like there is basically a way that you're walking out of that store with cash that there's like no verifiable way to determine where it came from.
It says, I didn't know this before, that they had like bank accounts as different churches that they were.
Oh yeah, because that's one thing, and I like it that he does this too. He incorporates a church to like avoid taxes and laws and stuff, which I mean, fair game.
But he was telling his customers to falsely report that they were donating to the churches when they were buying the Bitcoin. So that seems maybe like a crime.
I don't understand any of it. I don't even get what a Bitcoin is, or like how you the Bitcoin mining, how you can plug in a thing.
I don't understand that.
Eventually you end up with a Bitcoin. Like none of it makes any sense to me.
I mean, guys,
why I'll never be a crypto millionaire, I guess. No. Like,
sure, but I think that there will never be any more crypto millionaires than there already are right now. Like all of the crypto millionaires that will exist do exist because that shit is going to be suppressed. And, but when you say it all out loud like that, John, right? I mean, like, did any of you ever think that this was going to end well? Like, just like, hearing those words, like that, you know what I mean? Like you generate electricity and then it churns out this thing and it's like a computer code and it's a register of every transaction. And then it like grows through speculative investment. And you know what I mean? Like, why would that work out?
It all sounds like the rantings and like the wild idea of the crazy guy in front of like the chalkboard with all the scribbles on it. Like I just, and it's a thing that's consumed a lot of people. And then I guess from there you got like the whole NFT thing, which is even more mind blowing to me.
People really believed in that too. That was another one where I'm like, guys, these pictures that you buy on the internet are definitely not going to be worth money in like a few minutes. You know what I mean? Like,
there's already been those stories where it's like,
it's crazy.
This $100,000 NFT is now worth $200, and I'm like, why is it worth $200?
Why has it ever been worth any money?
It's like a monkey with a banana. Like I don't get it. Like I make pictures with things on it, like give me the money.
Yeah,
mine are funny at least.
Yeah, so I'm still just trying to read because I do want to be able to straightforwardly explain their crimes. Like some of this has to do with the fact that because the business was, so this is more or less what I was saying in terms of the business being in the middle, because they were like processing the transactions. That's not itself money laundering, but that is a violation of the law because they're not licensed to like process financial transactions like that. Like this article is saying like Coinbase like follows the law and does this. And that's why they can process like $100 billion of transactions, right? Or probably not anymore, but they were doing that. I mean, and the thing is with this place, dude, is that like supposedly, according to the government, which I don't trust everything the government says either, for the record, any libertarians who are listening, I hear you. I'm not unsympathetic. Actually, I might be laughing and making jokes. I don't think that these people should actually be locked up for this, to be honest.
I mean, who did they really commit a crime against?
The government. It is all about just the government's monopoly on, finance. Yes, exactly. You know what I mean? It's a victimless crime as far as I'm concerned here, but, but basically like millions of dollars were funneling through this place, per year. So definitely like, some stuff was going on. It's not stuff that I really oppose personally. So, I don't know. I am sympathetic to the people being charged in this case, to be honest. Even though Bitcoin was always gonna turn into this, and even though this was always going to happen, I don't think that they should really be charged with this. And I hate to say it because I am not a libertarian, I swear to God, but it does prove their point in a lot of ways, because like what literally happened here was heavy-handed, authoritative government action for the purpose of like enforcing, basically just strictly enforcing government authority. And that's what they oppose, and they, and a lot of times what people will say to libertarians is that like, well, you're painting an unrealistic picture of reality, like the government is not tyrannical and all of these things. And well, sometimes things happen and other people are proven right. But Elon's going to buy Twitter. He's going to get back together with Grimes. Donald Trump's going to come back on the platform, and we're going to be entertained again.
I can't wait.
It's going to be the Roaring 20. Yeah.
Like sometimes I'll go on to Truth Social just to see.
Just to hear him. It's so boring. It's so boring without him commenting on it. I want to know what he says.
I'm basically living off of memories now, Just playing the clip of him remarking on Ruth Bader Ginsburg's death over and over, which is the greatest thing of all time. It's the greatest clip of all time, both with what he says, the fact that like what's playing, what Elton John songs play, like Tiny Dancer, I think, is playing in the background while they're telling him, hey, RBG died. I didn't know that. This is the first time I'm hearing about this. Terrific woman. Whether you liked her or not, she was,
She just died? I didn't know that. She led an amazing life. What else can you say? Whether you agree or not, she led an amazing life. Which, fair statement.
Yeah. It was very classy of him to say, anyway.
It kind of was. I thought so.
Someone not known for his class, like.
Yeah.
Just off the cuff, too. You know what I mean? Like, she led an amazing life.
That's what I miss, though. Someone who could just, like, wing things a little bit and be entertaining.
I know. Joe Biden, they got to shoot him up with, like, intravenous Adderall and, like, push him in front of the thing and hope he doesn't look for a phantom door or call out a dead congresswoman. This dude, thank you for legalizing marijuana, Joe Biden, but I don't know how many marbles that you have all the time.
He definitely shouldn't smoke it. Like, that won't do him any favors.
No, it definitely won't. It definitely won't. Say what you will, but I'm sorry. I don't care if you hate the man. Like, Donald Trump at his age is definitely sharper than Joe Biden is.
Oh yeah.
And they're what, like a year or two apart or something like that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just mental acuity, even physical. Like, the guy is just a little bit more, got a little bit more vitality than our current president. But we should, and guys, I don't care how disgusted you are that, like, I miss hearing from Donald Trump, makes me an apostate or whatever. It doesn't matter what I think. Objectively, this isn't my opinion. Objectively, you shouldn't take the president of the United States out of media. Like, that's not in the public good. Don't start with me on it's a private company and freedom of speech only applies to the First Amendment only applies to the government. Like, you don't know who you're talking to if you say that to me. Okay. So please don't. Really. It's not in the public interest to to forcibly shut down a former president. Like, it just isn't, it's the same thing as, dismissing the growing number of people, at least in this area, who are dissatisfied with public schools. And actually, you know what? I don't know how it is now, but I know for a fact that this is not a dynamic that's foreign to New Jersey. It just takes on different forms, because my college girlfriend, my college sweetheart, was a New Jersey native. Part of where my original love for the state comes from. And although in the present, she's actually baffled by the fact that I say that I love New Jersey. She's like, I had no idea that you had this fondness for New Jersey. Like, she's totally confused by this. But it's kind of funny. But like, her and like all of her friends that I met down in New Jersey, they all went to Catholic school, and it wasn't because their parents were like that religious or anything like that. They all, like, they said it was like, nah, I was just, they didn't want to send me to the public school in the town. They didn't think it was good, So this is not just a localized phenomenon, and it's not just a contemporary one. It goes back. But you can't understand what's going on if you don't want to know why those people think that, or if you just think that they're duped. And in a similar way, you can't, even if you're appalled by it and it makes you cry that people elected Donald Trump, and like that people think like him and Kanye West and all the other bad guys out there in the world today, but you just can't understand what's going on in the world, in the country, if you just want them to shut up. If you just think that shutting him up makes it go away, Well, now no one can listen to him and be fooled, as if all of this was just single-handedly caused by one man. It's one thing the socialists get right. It's never about one man. It's all about the conditions, the material conditions. Understand those, and you will understand the world.
Karl Marx, ladies and gentlemen.
Seems like your good advice for the week for everyone. We didn't get to talk about Ime Udoka and the Try Guys and all the sex scandals, which is unfortunate. We'll save that for another time. But that's going to do it for this week. We just want to first say thank you to our sound lord and producer, Chad Patterson, who is a phenomenal human being and makes these episodes sound crisp and clean. And he can do it for you. He can set up your sound system. He can do recordings for you, mixings for you, anything that you can think of through his sound studio, studio117.net. And also he's got the Dad Rock Band, Hot Dad Rock from Chad Patterson at Down by 10. They came to the Monadnock region just last weekend. It's a rockin' show. I didn't make it because I'm a terrible friend, and a bunch of things went wrong. And I'm very sorry, Chad. And I've apologized profusely to him. And he has probably forgiven me because he is a gracious person. He says he's forgiven me, but I still feel very bad about it. But anyways, we should make it up to Chad by everybody going and seeing the next Down by 10 gig as soon as you can. But thank you, John, for joining us. We will probably have to drag you on, a couple times down the line, because we're not going to have a third host. And, you deserve every few months anyways to be seen and heard.
I think I do. Thank you.
Yeah. And we're here for that. And again, even though, we know we can't do the visits this year, but they're coming. And this is going to be an annual thing. And, maybe we'll even do a show from down there. We'll do a live show when John's up here. We'll do some stuff. But John's a friend of this program, and
friend of the pod,
friend of the company. And we are happy to have you. Thank you to all the listeners out there. And again, as I mentioned earlier, understand the conditions, you'll understand the world. And maybe even once in a while, now the socialists never pull this off, maybe you can understand what comes next. But until that understanding comes upon you, take whatever good advice you can. that's our show. We'll see you in the Space Lounge again next week, maybe with a different guest host. We don't know. We don't have any plans yet, so it's going to be a surprise. All right, we'll see you then.